part 3, which has the same theme. So it's about encouragement, and we'll probably look at motivation and inspiration. So let's have a look at some part 3 techniques. Okay. First of all, in part 3, remember you want to give longer answers. For maybe a minute, you're digging deeper in order to create the language that you want to show off to the examiner. Here's a good suggestion. Give your opinion, give a reason, and add a consequence. Okay? And if possible, throw in some examples. So say what you think, say why, and what the result of that can be. And then give some examples. Automatically, with those 4 points, you'll be building 4 clauses that will make more complex sentences. And that will help you produce more complex language that is what you're looking for a Band 7. Let's see this in action, okay? Some model answers. For example, here. How can you motivate children to study? Why do some people become demotivated? Let's look at how we could answer these questions. How can you motivate children to study? Well, I suppose you have to understand their interests, what makes them tick, and then leverage that to get them engaged. For example, kids, they usually like games. So if you wanted to teach them a language, like English, then you could get them to practice through playing a game like Minecraft. Without their buy-in, it's hard to get children learning. You certainly can't force them to learn. You can force them to study, but not to learn. Okay. Let's have a look first at some of the language, the natural English and the idioms that came here. So in spoken English, we often say the same thing twice, but in a different way. It's different from writing, where people can read and again. But when you're speaking, things get lost. And so we naturally repeat things so people can catch it. But we repeat them in a slightly different way. And it's really good to do that in the IELTS test to help the examiner follow you and to show off your language. So, for example, I suppose you have to understand their interests. What makes them tick? So, what makes them tick? Like tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock of the clock. What makes you tick or function is what interests you. So what you really like, what makes you work well. So you have an idiomatic expression, and that idea of repeating the same thing twice, but in a different way. Without their buy-in. So their buy-in is not literally buying something, but it's investing themselves. It's their agreement and their acceptance of something. So I'm trying to teach you something, but without your buy-in, without your interest and agreement, you won't learn. So there's some of the language. Let's look at the structure here. Okay. So I began giving an opinion. You can say, I think, I suppose. And then I was giving examples. For example, kids usually like games. I mean, you can force them to study, but not to learn. It's kind of an example, it's kind of clarification. And notice I also give a reason or a consequence that if we don't do this, what will happen? Without something will happen. Without their buy-in, it's hard to get children learning. Just that one word, present a consequence, and you're giving really rich language. Okay, that's one example of a part 3. Let's look at the second one. Why do some people become demotivated? I guess this happens to everyone at some time or another, especially with long-term activities. We all need positive feedback on the things we do, and when we don't get that, it can be tempting to give up and throw the towel in, or throw in the towel. You either want someone telling you that what you're doing is right, or some kind of encouraging result, like hitting a sales target or losing 5 kilos on your diet. Anything to keep you going, to help you stick at it. Great, let's look at what I was doing. So first, that spoken English, same thing twice, different way. To give up and throw in the towel. Okay, it's the same thing. To when you're trying to do something and you decide to stop, you give in, or throw in the towel. This comes from originally from boxing, when the boxer who is losing, his coach may take the towel and throw the towel in the ring, giving up. Throw in the towel. Notice the link. Throw in, win, throw in the towel. And I do this again later. Anything to keep you going, to help you stick at it, to keep you going, to stick at it. It's the same thing, but a really nice idiomatic expression. And as always, with many phrasal verbs, think about the linking. It's one sound. Stick at it, stick at it, stick at it. Anything to keep you going, to help you stick at it. And let's just have a look at the structure. What's happening here with the structure? So I'm giving my opinion. I guess this happens. I give some examples here, like hitting a sales target or losing 5 kilos on your diet if you're dieting, and also giving not a reason but a consequence again. So remember last time I said, without this, you'll have this. Here it's, and when we don't get that, this is what happens. So when we don't get that, it can be tempting to give up or throw in the towel. So there's the structure. If you can, an opinion, example, and a consequence or a reason. You don't need all 4 points, but if you can weave in, if you can build in 2 or 3, it's going to give you richer language. Add a few idiomatic expressions and Bob's your uncle. That means everything will be perfect. You'll get towards that higher score. Great. So here in the video today, we have seen for part 2, some different ideas on the topic of encouragement, some good advanced vocabulary. We've had the model answer and the analysis. We've also looked at some techniques for answering part 3 and a couple of model answers. So if you learn this and practice it, and I encourage you with the videos, not just to sit and watch and enjoy, but to start repeating and practicing the language. It's really important. Learn, then, well, you'll be able to answer part 2 and part 3 questions effectively. You'll have the confidence more when you're in the exam, and you'll be building the vocabulary that you need to get a band 7 or above.